Hi there, this is Niki Rowland for Spiegel Mom Scraps, and today I'm making a layout using lots and lots and lots of sequins. They're all available in the store. They are Colourful Motley, Dragon Tails, Pastel Pasture, Sweet Things, Paradise, Lush Greenery, Peaches and Cream, and Bursting Sunrays. Wow, that's a lot of sequins. And the reason I'm using so many different sets from the store is because I am making a rainbow background inspired by that piece of Cocoa Vanilla Happiness paper. And also I'm going to apply some Shimmerz paint to give myself a mixed media background to put the sequins on. The reason I'm going mixed media is because in the Spread the Sparkle group, Jodie held a poll and asked people what they would like to know more about, and one of those things was how to use Shimmerz paints. Now Jodie sells those in the Spiegel Mom Scraps Store, and they have a whole different variety of products. So the first one that I put on there, the pink one, is a Spritz. Now that is a spray, it's a runny paint, and if you spray that onto a piece of packaging, it's the perfect consistency almost. I normally add a bit more water to apply directly to your background. Also, I've now used that red one that I've put on there is a Creameez. Creameez are solid paints and they activate by adding water. So what you need to do is open your pot of Creameez, spritz in a few drops of water and let it sit for a few minutes. And what will happen is the paint will react to the water and it will kind of melt, and then it will become a small amount of runnier paint on the surface. Obviously, the more water you add, the thinner the paint will be. The less water you add, the thicker it will be. So it depends on the consistency that you want. So prior to filming this video, I put in a few drops of water into both a red one and a navy one. I will list all of the names of the paints below. What I did was just let it set for a few minutes, and then by the time I was ready to use it, like I was just then, enough of the paint had melted for me to pick up and put onto my packaging, add a bit more water to make it the right consistency, and then I could apply it directly to the background. The orange one I'm just applying now is an original Shimmerz paint, and they are little pots of happiness, little pots of watercolour paint that are already mixed. In theory, they are the right consistency already just to paint with straight out of the pot. However, mine are quite old now. I've been using them for a while. I don't have much left, so I've kind of been left with all the sediment in the bottom of the paints. There's still so much colour in there, lots and lots of pigment, as you can see, but I don't have much liquid left, so I stir it with the end of a paintbrush to mix it all together, what's left, and then I pick up some with a paintbrush, put it onto my packaging and add more water until I'm happy with the consistency to get a slightly runnier paint to put onto my background. So that was the yellow, which was an original Shimmerz. The next few are also original Shimmerz as well. So I'm about to apply a green one. That one's called Key Lime. So this is one of my oldest paints, actually, one of the first ones I ever got. And yes, it is definitely running low. I've hardly got any left whatsoever. So I've given it a good stir with what's left at the bottom. You can see how thick it is. I've literally poured the paint off the end of the paintbrush, put a bit on my packaging and added water, and now I've got so much paint. There's so much there because there was so much pigment in, on that bit. It was so very thick. What I'm also doing is blotting my bit watercolor effect in between each application, just using a paper towel, and that's just to soak off the excess. I love the bright colours that are formed with these paints, sometimes I let it dry naturally and leave all that colour on the page, but sometimes when I'm trying to mix, add a colour next to a colour that's just been applied, I need it to dry a bit faster, so I blot it off. That one I've just added there is called It's Meant to Be. That's an original Shimmerz as well, and I think that is my favourite of the Shimmerz collection. That's my favourite colour. It's really gorgeous, and there's hardly anything left either. I definitely need to get a new one of those. And this one is a Creameez again, so this is a navy Creameez called Witch's Blue, and I have put in too much water into my pot in order for it to react with the water. As you can see, I haven't added any extra water to my packaging. I've just poured it straight out of the pot, and it's way too wet, it's too runny, and therefore it's not very controlled the way that I put it in. And I've just taken it off the off the page there, blotted off that excess bit, and it's hardly got any colour in it at all, and that's because I've added too much water. So I'm going on and dabbing on some paint directly onto the page there to add a bit more colour, but I want the same watercolour effect with the packaging, so I've just literally placed the packaging over the top there. Okay, so that is my background. All of the colours applied, they're all the colours that I'm going to use, and say I will list those at the bottom, and you can see that I applied them all in exactly the same way. So even though they are different products, I applied them in the same way with the packaging technique. Just added a bit of water to make sure my consistency was correct, and then I added them with the packaging to the background to give this great watercolour effect. It's my favourite mixed media technique, the packaging technique. It's so straightforward and so easy. What a great thing. Whoever invented that is a genius. What I'm doing now is going through and I'm adding on splatters of the same colour. The reason I didn't do this at the time was because I wanted my layers to dry a bit before I put the splatters on, and the reason for that is so that they didn't all blend in or bleed into the wet background. So I wanted them to have dried a little bit, then my splatters sit on top nicely, and you really can see the spots that I've put on. I'm a paintbrush girl. I apply all of my splatters with a paintbrush. I don't use the end of the tubes from like the Spritz sprays, for example. I'd always put a little bit onto a piece of packaging or onto a craft sheet, pick it up with my paintbrush, and then splatter. I feel I have more control that way. So that is what I've done there. So literally just going over my background with the same colours on the same areas and applying splatters all the way. So I now have this fabulous rainbow effect mixed media background that looks like it's been applied with watercolour, and really it's been applied using a piece of plastic. So how effective is that? It's so awesome. So it's still wet, and I'm just kind of figuring out photo placement. I had totally planned for this design to be vertical, but you know, best laid plans, things go wrong and things change, and it just wasn't working for me. So in the end, the whole layout ends up horizontal, which totally wasn't the idea. But it's great, actually. I love the way that it turned out. So, you know, always opportunities to change things, and that's what designers are for, aren't they? That's what designs are for, to evolve. Yeah. Anyway, so how fabulous is this new collection by Cocoa Vanilla Studio? It's called Happiness, and it really is very happy. I have dried my background with a heat tool, and I'm now putting my mixed media background, which is completely dry, onto my background paper, the Happiness paper there. I gutted the middle, took the middle out, because obviously I can't waste a single inch of that beautiful, beautiful paper. And my background completely covers the hole that obviously I took out of the middle. And now what I'm doing is I'm going through all of the fabulous, fabulous sequin mixes that I have to find similar colours so that I can embellish this layout, or I can absolutely throw tons of sequins at this layout, but in a tone-on-tone fashion or a colour-on-colour fashion. So I have got a lot of sequins, so I thought I would try and use up quite a few here, and I really did go for it with all the different mixes. Actually, there are so many, and they have such beautiful sequins in the mixes. I didn't just want the same sequins in the same colour on each section. I wanted multiple different sequins in the same colours on the layers. Does that make sense? So I wanted 3 different types of blue sequin on the blue bit, and 3 different types of mint sequin on the mint bit, and 3 different types of green sequin on the green bit. You get the idea. That's what I'm doing. I'm having fun going through all of my sequin collections and pulling out the ones that are just perfect in terms of tone to go on top of my colours. So there's some really bright ones, there's big ones, there's little ones, there's glittery ones, there's flower shaped ones, there's the big little firework ones. I don't even know what they're called, but those bigger ones that you can see there to the left of the photos, they are awesome. They just give an extra added bit of sparkle to the layout. So yeah, I really enjoyed just going through this and working out where all of those sequins were going to go. So literally there is a sequin for every occasion, in every colour, every size and shape in my collection. I certainly have lots and lots and lots of them. Definitely have enough sequins to last me for several years. So yeah, that's what I've just been doing there, going through and finding all of the beautiful sequins to put on top of my background. I'm clearly still not happy. I don't have enough, so I've gone and found a couple more mixes there to add some extra bling to the little light pink bit that wasn't, I didn't have enough different types of sequins for that bit, so that's why I had to go looking for a few more. So now that they're all beautifully placed, of course none of them are stuck down. I don't want to stick them down until I know what I'm doing with the rest of my layout. The reason for that was because I didn't want to move things around. I didn't want to cover up too much of my sequin background. I wanted to and I also wanted to not have to stick too many things on top of stuck sequins, because they are, obviously they have got quite a texture to them, and it doesn't means that things won't stick flat. So I wanted to make sure that I got most of my layout in place, and then stick all my sequins around all of the bits and embellishments that I have down. So I've just mounted my photo on two journaling cards from the same Cocoa Vanilla Happiness collection, and I just wanted something to make them pop up a little bit. I didn't want anything too bright behind the photos. I wanted it to be quite light, but just to give them something to separate them from that white background at the top there. So I'm creating this kind of photo cluster at the top in the middle, and I've grabbed a frame from one of the ephemera packs, and I'm just getting that in place now. I've cut it in half so that I have one half on each side of the photo, so it kind of gives the effect that it goes all the way through, although not quite because it's at an angle. I've pulled out that ephemera piece that says loving every second. That's a lovely sentiment. I really like that one, which definitely sums up our life right now. I've gone through the ephemera and I've pulled out again the tone on tone colours for embellishments. So I've pulled out, you know, an orange ticket, and that's going to go on the orange section, and a red ticket, and that's going to go on the red section, and a pink flare badge, and that's going to go on the pink bit, and a blue ticket and a blue sentiment, which go on the coordinating part. So you get the idea. I really love these little hearts here from one of the journaling cards on the Cocoa Vanilla collection, so I'm just fussy cutting some of those out, and I'm going to again embellish them tone on tone. Now I realised halfway through that I didn't have anything yellow, so even though there is yellow in this collection, there didn't seem to be many embellishments, or hardly anything actually, that was actually in yellow. So I had to raid my stash and find some other yellow bits and pieces to go. There they go, I'm adding them now. I found some puffy yellow hearts. I think they're pink fresh actually, and they worked instead of the other embellishments that I would have had on that section. So yeah, I pulled out some flowers, I pulled out some of those fussy cut hearts. I'm adding those in now. There's some tabs and tickets, and I think I'm pretty happy with the way the layout is looking. Obviously I'm going to add some more to it, but on the whole that is the majority in place. So now I'm going through and adding in and sticking down all of my sequins. Now I'm using glossy accents for that. I'm picking up each sequin with my finger and putting down a blob of glossy accents, and then adding the sequin back in place. So they did move around a bit, not too much. So this is later. I have stuck all those sequins. I didn't make you watch me stick all of them, because we would have been here all day. I've just pulled out that really lovely title, Sweet Friends, from the titles ephemera pack. There's a whole pack of these titles, all these words in this script font, which is really lovely. And I've pulled out a sentiment from the one of the ephemera pieces, and I'm cutting it all apart. So it was in one block, but I'm cutting it apart so that I can arrange the word strips where I want to put them. I don't actually know where I want to put them, as you will see, because I keep moving them around. But it says, making memories with you is my favourite thing to do. So what a lovely sentiment. This collection is full of lovely sentiments, really lovely. So I cut it all apart, and I'm going to put that in. What it will actually do is connect my rainbow background with my title that sits there down at the bottom. Sorry for the angle of the camera, something's happened. I think I bumped my head on it, and we've now got a bit of the edge of the table showing there, so sorry about that. I'm just getting that sentiment stuck in place now. That's where I'm going to have it. So what that does is it makes the background, the photo cluster connects with the rainbow background, and there was a big gap until we got to the Sweet Friends title, so having the Making Memories with You sentiment from the yellow part of the background going all the way down to the Sweet Friends connects the two together, so it gives the layout a bit more flow, makes it make a bit more sense to the eye. So I've raised up all of those on foam pads. I'm a bit of a foam pad fan, and I raise lots of things up. I like my layouts to have lots of dimension. Sequins certainly add lots of dimension, and sparkle, dimension, my two favourite things. So absolutely awesome. I've also got this little banner from the Cocoa Vanilla Happiness ephemera pack that says stay colourful, so I wanted to get that in somewhere. It wouldn't fit anywhere else on my layout, so it's gone right at the top. I'm just adding in the date. I wanted to add in some journaling, but I really couldn't figure out where to put it, so in the end I wrote something really short across the bottom along that line of that bottom border. Okay, and that is my layout complete. I hope you enjoyed watching that and learned something about using shimmers as well as using the beautiful sequins. I will list all the products below. Thank you so much for joining me. That was Niki Rowland for Spiegel Mom Scraps. Don't forget to enter code Niki15 for a 15% discount.